I haven't been really concerned at getting everything during this visit because there's so many things that I've done before in Britain with the filming. It's conceivable that I might even come to the end of doing this kind of content for the channel. It's an easy content to do. You're walking anyway and you feel like saying something to the world, and you can do it, and then later on you make the film up. That happens quite fast, and enjoy the thing again and publish it. It's an easy way of getting content out, but and generating content, but nobody's particularly, well, there are some people amongst you that like this, but large numbers are not flocking to the channel over this kind of content. So in some case I have to start to go back to the talking head format again, which seems to have driven much more of the early subscriber base, and going forward as well, things like the Huliganov lessons and what have you. Huliganov has been criticised by various people. However, never mind. It's still a persona which some people like and want to have come back and do more Russian lessons. That's certainly the plan, to do that. By the time you see this, hopefully that plan will already be in operation. It was only a question of time, and I hope that I don't go too long without getting to a point where that time becomes available. Of course, because of the need to walk, the need to be out and about, it's a college of massage here. You've got a walk-in clinic, you just walk in and have a massage, and an hour's massage costs you £35. However, that's not so cheap anyhow, because if you start, it's nearly 200, mind you, an hour and a half for 120 you can have in Poland with real Thai Wat-Po specialists. So by that measure, this college of massage thing isn't so fantastic, especially when you consider they probably got people just practicing there who haven't actually learnt the art yet. So you're putting yourself in the hands of people that are not so experienced. So that wasn't something that I fancied doing either. This, part of the UCL, University College London, is the International Centre for Excellence in Dentistry. They may well have a walk-in £35 an hour, get your teeth pulled out as well, but I'm not too delighted about that, the idea of doing that.
Did you watch his
Now we come to Guildford Street. That might be a bit nicer to walk up than some of the other ones which we've had as options on the left, because there's no what do you call it, roadworks in sight anyway. And now we come into Bloomsbury, really, I think we are. This is Doughty Street. And I'm pretty confident that I was here not so long ago, walking up Doughty Street. And I'm pretty confident that that's good enough college, and that I've recently taken photographs of it. I've also been in it recently. 6 months ago I went into an event that was in there, and I remember photographing that wall with you may have seen on Facebook, those of you that know me on Facebook, I haven't actually put that clutch of photos up here, but I went up that way onwards. I don't fancy doing that the same again today, because I don't want to keep on repeating the same experiences. I'll go on this side of Good Enough College this time. But there's an album probably on Facebook if you want to see the photographs I took in this area, which I'm calling the Bloomsbury Group. I've focused on a number of the blue plaques of where people like Lytton Strachey and what have you lived around here during that particular artistic movement of blue stockings. I'm not saying that Lytton Strachey himself wore them, but I wouldn't have been surprised. So if you look on my albums of photos on Facebook, if you're remotely interested, you'll see that and a number of other things. The time check. It's 5 to 3. So we're in about half an hour. So there's Good Enough for Mecklenburg Place is there, named after that famous place Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, which is next to Poland. Used to be under the kingdoms of the Poles at some time in the past. Also the Mecklenburg royal family is related to George Bush and to our own royal family for that matter. There's a Camden person about his business, taking people's money for parking their cars. I must admit that when I used to park in Camden, it's a rigorous place. I once parked up somewhere in Camden, got my car impounded many years ago. Then the police tow it away, but then they say, well, look, we got to do it, or we don't even get involved in it, or something like that. Always some excuses. They're using these people to simply supplement taxation. And here is Lytton Strachey. There we are. Slightly more heterosexual than the original, but similar appearance. And there's the building that I once went to with the famous Aaron Kulkis in search of his Maria, who was boarding in there. Aaron Kulkis has been described as the Uebertroll of Usenet posting. He was and is a friend of mine. But as far as trolling is concerned, I couldn't actually match him. I don't tend to troll much these days, but I've gone through that phase of doing it, that's for sure. Sock puppetry, you name it. Really inflammatory stuff. It's all good fun for a laugh, you know. It gets out of your system certain things which otherwise you'd be carrying with you yourself and giving to people in real life, which is better to give to people in a consenting environment. And Usenet was almost like a consenting environment of people that wanted to get offended, and therefore we provided them with their required content in order that they could get as offended as they liked. sort of thing we would do. Let's take Cornwall for example. Let's say that there was an internet group about Cornwall. There were different things that you could do. If you marked, if in your group of trolling people you had marked for invasion the Cornish group, you would then come into the group and you would make inflammatory postings about Cornwall. Either you would say that Devon was better, or that the Cornish people never actually existed, it was just a legend, that the language was reconstructed by people, and that you have evidence of this, that studies have been done but never actually provide the data. All sorts of things that you would do. I would just even say that you went to Cornwall and you didn't like this, that or the other. Or just post completely blatantly off-topic things, or pretend to actually speak to one another in Cornish when you were just speaking gibberish, really. That's the sort of thing that you could do and inflame other Usenet's users. And it was a form of art in itself, just to see how many people you could actually inflame. Actually, this was it, wasn't it? Not the other place. It was here. The two look the same. It was in this place that Aaron was looking for his girlfriend, who was his intended, let's say. Kulkis was known for being able to do 60 posts a day on average. And people say, what is your job? He said, well, he's a Unix systems administrator. And I said, well, how can you do that and post 60 days? So because I'm very good at my job, I just got to sit and make sure everything's ticking over nicely. That leaves me with plenty of time to engage in my other hobby, which is posting inflammatory messages on Usenet. So there we are. I at least used to keep it into the evenings, you know. When I was during my first marriage, and she was in London, I was in Poland anyway, so it was just a way of developing writing skills, in a sense, for me. So here we are, Brunswick Square. And it came and it went, and nowadays people don't really use Usenet anymore. There are other things. There was the thing that started back then was MySpace, and people started to, that was the first one, I think, really, that people started to do MySpace pages, and that was the first, if you like, social media. And that detracted some people's attention from doing Usenet, and they tended to take things to MySpace, but there wasn't the same amount of different things you could do, and the way that you could build up different communities then, in the way that you can now, and certainly the more developed social media of www 2.0, as they call it. So once things like Facebook, YouTube especially, and certain other things like that started to take off. Now it's going to be Google Plus, but I don't know really whether that will be so successful. It's so counterintuitive. I'm not sure that people really get it. I'm not sure I get it. But maybe it will be accepted, and certainly seems to be growing hard at the moment. But they're going to have to work on it to get it to be another thing that you'd mention along with YouTube and what have you. Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, of course, is more of a business thing. So this is a nice community that has developed around this interesting, it's an interesting looking, very characteristic piece of architecture that there is here. Almost looks a bit like one of these new towns you've got dotted around London. Doesn't look like really a part of London per se, but it is, of course, still in London. In the heart of Bloomsbury here, next to where all the students are. They probably make up a lot of the population here. Those guys are probably studying something, probably media studies or something. That's what everybody does, and they wonder why they don't get a job afterwards. Everybody wants to be in media. That's why it's not paying anymore. And once you put into people's hands the ability to do their own media and do their own channels and things and be their own journalist, and have their own blogs, and it all costs them next to nothing to do it, then that's seriously going to put a lot of pressure on the people that have done that professionally in the past, because now they're up against alternatives. The people watching even this now, those few of you that there are, you could have spent this time watching TV, and in the absence of YouTube, that's maybe what you would have done. For want of anything else to watch. When there was only TV to watch, you wanted to watch a film, you had to watch TV or go to the cinema. So now you've got the internet, and everybody's films are there just crying out to be watched, and nobody asks you for any money, and woe betide you if you do, and I don't thankfully need to, so I'm not going to. I don't know which way to go now. I'm on the Coram Street and Marchmont Street. Well, what shall I do? I think I'll go up this way. It might be a tad longer, but never mind. If it is, it doesn't matter. It just looks more interesting. You've got the... Well, it's like the pillar box. This is a pillar box. Pillar box. Not pillow box. Don't try and put your head in it and sleep or something. You'll get taken for one of these homeless and moved on. But they were actually invented, or the concept at least, was invented by Anthony Trollope when he was a civil servant in the Empire. That's quite a smashing pumpkin, isn't it? I think the saying is. People are doing pumpkins now because of Halloween. Being a Christian, I don't actually celebrate Halloween, but I do like pumpkins, just as a food item. We simply cut them up and eat them. We don't try and make anything other than soup from them. But pumpkin soup is what we tend to make, and we make a lot of it, and we eat a lot of it this time of year. And even when I get back to Poland again, we'll certainly have more pumpkins before the season finishes. So here we are, Marchmont Community Centre on that side. Nature du monde, the natures of the world. How many there are, I don't know. Seems to me that nature is uncountable in English rather than natures. So natures in a different meaning is countable, in the sense of, people have different natures. And you've got this gay place, obviously a gay bookshop. Gay's the word, obviously it's a bookshop for homosexuals. They need their own books, they don't want to be reading the stuff that riff-raff like us, heteros read. They want their own stuff, special stuff. They need it. Okay, and as we come to Tavistock Place, I'm now at the end of my battery, so that was it, I think. If I remember to charge it, there'll be more footage of the drive home tomorrow, but that's it for today. Thank you.